All right, chapter 4, section 4. We are finally through photosynthesis, and we're going to talk about cellular respiration. Photosynthesis was all about making sugar, cellular respiration is all about breaking sugar down. Cellular respiration is aerobic. Aerobic means it needs oxygen, okay? And the stage of this process that requires oxygen is actually found in the mitochondria. And mitochondria, the power of the cell. The first step, though, is not aerobic. Okay, so it is anaerobic, which means does not require oxygen, and in some cases, anaerobic means would die with oxygen. But in this case, it just means does not require. Takes place in the cytoplasm. It splits glucose in half into two separate three carbon molecules, and it makes two ATPs. So here you have a six carbon molecule. One, two, three, four, five, six. It's going to split it in half. Okay. And then you're going to get three and three, which is the splitting of the carbon in glucose. Now, please understand this gets more detailed in section 5, but for now, this will do. You make two ATP in this process, and that's glycolysis. Okay. Two net ATP. And we'll talk about that more when you get to the next section. The Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle is the top half of this picture. So if I take this line and I look at the top half, that's the Krebs cycle. It's taking the two halves of glucose from glycolysis. You're spinning it around in a system inside of the mitochondrial matrix. That's inside the inner membrane. That is I call it in the inner part of the mitochondria. I don't know if you noticed mitochondria has two membranes, and it's inside the inner. And when you put those two halves in, what you get is carbon dioxide coming out, and that is literally how it takes and deals with the two halves of glycolysis. So it goes in, the two halves go in, they make a bunch of CO2, and what you make is energy and NADH. So ATP and NADH. Now, what you do with that energy and NADH can be found in the next step, which is the electron transport chain. But let's take a look at these words, make sure there's nothing here that was missed. Breaks down a three carbon molecule from glycolysis, makes a small amount of ATP, that's true. Releases carbon dioxide. That's a waste product. Remember, we take in oxygen from the electron transport chain, and we release carbon dioxide from the electron transport chain. But the Krebs cycle does not take in oxygen. It does release carbon dioxide. In the Krebs cycle, you take in the glucose and you push out the CO2. So that is all that I need from this written part. Now, down here below, it starts talking a little bit about the electron transport chain, and we might as well get into it now. But the electron transport chain relies on those high energy electrons from NADH that we got from the Krebs cycle. It relies on the ATP that we got from the Krebs cycle, and it relies on the oxygen that we brought in from the outside. So those three things together will make a useful electron transport chain. Now, you make lots and lots of ATP. Water is a waste product, so water comes out here, right? And it happens on the inner membrane of the mitochondria. Remember, the Krebs cycle happened inside the inner membrane in the mitochondrial matrix. However, the electron transport chain happens on the inner membrane of the mitochondria. It's a neat little way of thinking about these processes and together and how they relate to each other. I'm going to switch here to the pen function. So oxygen comes out of O2, comes out of photosynthesis, but it goes into the cellular respiration, and this is harder than it looks. And sugar comes out of the photosynthesis, but goes into cellular respiration. Carbon dioxide comes out of cellular respiration and it goes into CO2. Sorry, CO2 comes out of cellular respiration, but it goes into photosynthesis. And then water comes out of cellular respiration, but it goes into photosynthesis. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is what comes out of here goes into here. And what comes out of here goes into here. This would be in perfect balance if there wasn't more CO2 being entered into the atmosphere. If we were not currently on a path of burning things that were CO2, then we would not have the situation we have now, where CO2 levels are increasing. It's just it wouldn't happen because there would be some kind of balance. But with the burning of fossil fuels, for example, it throws this out of whack. And we are now producing more CO2 than the plants can maintain. When it was just humans and not cars and oils and etc., that was in better balance. And that is it for a very short chapter 4, section 4.